So I was born on May 23rd of 85, and for the first 7 years of my life, I lived in Bosnia. Very privileged life. My father was a lawyer working for the government. My mom was a registered nurse working in the local hospital, giving back to the community, something really important for the family. And then all of a sudden, things change, and such is life. And the war broke out, and because he was with the government, we were fortunate enough of being able to leave on time, so we didn't get to witness as many of the issues and atrocities and all the horrible things that happened to people of all three sides involved. We left to Serbia, where we stayed for the next 4 years, moving around, finding a life, and then all of a sudden Canada came up. We had no notice of leaving. I went to daycare that day, and I came home, and at 3 o'clock my grandmother said, who looked after us, we didn't have a babysitter, it was my grandmother, part of the tradition and culture, basically said that you will be leaving with your mom and your sister, you're going on a mini vacation, and we went on a mini vacation and never came back. Because the goal at this point was to leave the countries. There were already barricades and borders were starting to shut down as the country was collapsing. Following that, we moved to Belgrade to live with family. At this time, it was all over the news that the siege of Sarajevo and everything that broke down the city that I was born in. So this is really when, at the age of 7, you realize that nobody needs to tell me why I'm here. I've left for a reason. It's no longer safe to be where we were, which is home. And so that brought new friendships, new challenges, having to constantly move around. But the most difficult hardship is the fact that my father had stayed behind. So we didn't know whether he was alive. The odd time he would make a phone call just stating that he's okay. It was very difficult as a child not having a fatherly figure who was so important prior to that and so present in our everyday lives, just not knowing where he was or what he was doing for that matter. Those things you don't really forget. And there are things that will stay with you for a really, really long time. I can describe to you in detail leaving the apartment with that suitcase. But when the reality finally sunk in that there was a war happening at the age of 7, was difficult. Watching the 7 o'clock news, which is what it is there, and seeing your city being destroyed and in pieces, that excitement piece very quickly disappeared and turned into worries as to where is my father, what's happening to myself, what's happening to my family. My aunt lived in the same city, my grandparents were there, and many other family members. Are they alive? It wasn't a question of why is this happening, who is causing this, whose error or fault is this. It was a question of, are these people well and alive? I realized how precious life is.